Hi, it's Toby from Heavyweight MMA. Today, I was lucky to have a chat with Muay Thai fighter Charlie Bubb from Australia, straight out of Orange. Now, this man is in the upper echelon of Muay Thai in the Australian scene, having fought some beasts such as Toby Smith, George Mann, Jake Lund, Eddie Farrell, Jaden Anud, Odin Daniels, and more. Please have a listen to him. He's got some interesting takes on life and training. He's even trained with some of the best MMA fighters in Australia, such as Robert Whittaker and Jacob Malkoon.
Man to man, combat hand to hand, hands locked, ready for the last stand, elbow drops, kicks fade bang. If I connect you, levitate, better settle mate, lights out, knocked out by the heavyweight.
Hi, it's Toby from Heavyweight MMA. Lucky today to be here chatting with Muay Thai fighter Charlie Bubb from Australia, New South Wales, Orange. How are you, bro?
Yeah, good, man. Good. Thanks for having me on.
No worries, man. So I've been having a look at a couple of your fights just to remind me of your skills, man. You've had some pretty big ones over the last probably 4 or 5 years, right?
Yeah. I was kind of a bit unknown, then came in and fought Toby Smith, like he got in the background here. And then, ever since there, I've had the opportunity to fight the best in the world. And it's been a fun journey.
That's it, man. Looking back on that fight, how was that one for you? Like compared to all your fights you've had? I mean, you went in there, you looked pretty confident.
I'm always confident going in. Like a big thing in our camp leading up to it was at the end of the day, he still bleeds red and he still puts his pants on the exact same way. So I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous. I was shitting a brick, to be honest, but like I just knew it was my time to step up. So just went balls to the wall, and as everyone saw, we got fight of the year that year, and ever since then it's been nonstop.
Well, you mentioned that that fighting, most people are pretty nervous when they fight, and people that don't say they're nervous and potentially lying, right? So especially when it starts early in the career, people have a bit of fear, and then as you move on, you might still have that fear, but not quite as much, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like if someone says they're not nervous, they're lying. If they might not be nervous, but you're definitely scared. Like everyone's got a puncher's chance. Everyone's seen a video of someone getting a snap leg or something happen. So yeah, you're always scared, but it's part of the joy of it, I reckon. The nervous energy, just the gut feeling, you don't get it from doing any other sport.
That's it, man. And these things can make you stronger. And, if you can face jumping in the ring with a killer like you guys, then, you can face anything pretty much, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like I say to a lot of people that like everyone needs to get in the ring at least one time in their life. So like it's completely different to playing footy or something, or soccer or whatever it is, because you got like 10 other people to rely on, but in fighting it's just you and the other guy. And it translates to life really well. So I love it. And
on the other hand, something I've seen heaps on social media lately is people saying like, people should jump in the ring so they realize their real ability. There's a lot of people running around thinking they have an ability to fight with someone, but they really don't. So if they jump in the ring, they'll kind of understand their real ability, right? It might cut down a bit of people being smartasses and all that.
Yeah, but it goes both ways. You get those guys that come in the gym and say they're street fighters and they're real good. They'll get brought down a peg, but then you get the people that are unconfident and actually do that, and they'll get confidence from it. You realise getting punched in the face doesn't hurt as much as you think. Getting elbowed does, because it sucks. But it goes both ways. I just think it's definitely something everyone should do at least once in their life.
That's true, man. And the elbows, man, it's one of your favorite weapons, right?
Oh, I love it. Like it can turn a fight from a boring fight to a barn burner in an instant. Like as soon as there's a little bit of blood, it just changes both fighters' mentalities towards the fight. Like they say, like a shark smelling water, a shark smelling blood, you just go for it. So then it changes the fighter's mentality, but also changes the crowd. Like as soon as they see that, it just lifts them up, and like it's just, as human nature, it's who we are. We want to see blood. So yeah, as soon as that gets going, it changes the whole fight. So they're a brutal thing, but they're also a beautiful thing at the same time.
True, man. So what would you say are your favorite sort of weapons in the Muay Thai game?
I obviously love my elbows. Elbows, love a body shot, love a head kick. That's probably it. Like I said, I just went on about elbows. I love elbows because they can change a fight in a second. I love a body shot because like you hit someone with a liver shot, you want to get, like, obviously if you've ever been hit by one, you want to get up, but your body just says no. So it's one of those times when you can beat someone and just it's like you've completely dominated them, and then just a head kick because it brings out some of the best knockouts ever. And yeah, that's probably my three favorite weapons and something I work on very hard.
Yeah, there's nothing like a body shot, right, to take the heart out of people, man. Whether it's in the gym
Oh,
or in a fight, man, it can take the
yeah,
heart.
100%. Like you look back at some of like Andy Housen's or Nicky Holskins or something. As soon as you get hit with a body shot, if someone's walking you down, you hit him with a good enough body shot, they don't want to be there much longer, and it just changes everything. So it's an underused thing. It's been like I remember when I first started, like 10 years ago when I first fighting, body shot wasn't an overused thing. Everyone like well they were using it, but it wasn't like an overused thing. But now it's starting to pick back up, and everyone's realizing you hit them in the right spot. Like it's good night.
True, man. Hey, you mentioned Andy Housen and Nicky Holson, man. Who were your sort of favorite people you look up to in the game?
Well, same as any Aussies. I grew up watching John Wayne Parr and Nathan Corbett and Preacher and all those guys. But then once I started discovering like the international scene, I love watching Tyrone Spong fight. I love watching Nicky Holskin fight. Yeah, just growing up, and then I had a really big phase of going through the old K1s, like the old Ernesto Hoots, Mikhail Krokop, like all those guys back in the day when just fighters would fight. So yeah, I got a lot of them. I could rattle them off all day, but the biggest ones like would be your Aussie stars, and then Tyrone Spong's definitely probably one of my favorite fighters.
How crazy was that fight between Carnage Corbett and Tyrone Spong when he got him down with that hook? I think it was a right hook he hit him with and dropped him, and then he thought the fight was continuing when it was already caught off and attacked Spong. Classic.
Yes. So the best thing about that is Carnage was like, because my style, I switch a lot. And I remember watching that fight, and then he knocks him out because he switches southpaw, and his power hand goes to the front, and he knocks him out for the lead hook because it becomes his power shot. And then like it's just little things like that. Like watching that one fight has changed a little bit of my style. So yeah, like you said, yeah, it was a crazy fight. No one knew what to do afterwards. It looked like they were about to have a all-in brawl battle royal after the fight, but no, it's good. It was looking back, it was good for the sport. It could have been better if the refereeing was a bit better, but yeah, they went at it again, and you saw how much Tyrone improved on that, and they're both incredible fighters.
True, man. Are you talking about that switching? I noticed you were switching a lot when you fought George Mann, and like you said, your head kicks and body punches and that, you putting all to work in that fight, right?
Yeah, like you got to against George, because being 7 foot tall and smart as he is, you got to try to break his game, and it's always been a part of my game, switching. But yeah, in that fight, I remember watching other fights and thinking people don't work his body that much. No one kicks him in the head because they can't. Like he's so tall, so I thought I'd try to bring something new to the table, and I obviously didn't pay off as well as I thought I wanted it to. But yeah, I thought I held my own, did well. Yeah, I'm definitely looking for a rematch in that, and bring a lot more body shots and head kicks.
That's it, man. He's talking about the switching. Do you watch UFC at all today, man? There was a UFC on.
I only watched one. I only watched my mate Jacob fight, but yeah, I didn't watch anything. I didn't watch the main card.
Yeah, a guy called Josh Coolabauer from Sydney fought on there, and he fought a real good guy that's got a kickboxing style. And part of the thing, I think that he got a good win against this guy because this guy's like an up-and-comer. And I think one of the main reasons he got it is because he can switch and move and give him different looks, because this guy's a real standard 1 foot forward sort of fighter. And I think the fact that he came at him with those different looks and different angles and feints and that helped him land some awkward shots that he might not have landed otherwise. So I think that's what got him, actually. A big part of it was the switching, because it just makes people, their brain's got to keep reacting, right, to your movement. Yeah,
exactly. And it's, I got told this, I can't remember who told it to me, when I was switching a lot when I was a lot younger. They said, well, yeah, it's like Muay Thai is the art of 8 limbs. So you got 8 weapons. But you switch to southpaw, it's like you're a completely different fighter. So it becomes 16. And it's the same thing as like MMA and boxing, whatever you do. It just doubles your weapons. If you can go all those feints and all that stuff in orthodox, you switch southpaw and you got all those feints, it's the exact same thing. It just opens up your arsenal even more. But I'll have to go back and watch that fight.
Yeah, that's true, man. I haven't heard that analogy before. To be honest, most people like to stick with like one side. Most trainers in general stick with one side, right? But then things are kind of changing, especially in that MMA world. They're really trying to. A lot of people get into switching it up, like you said, give you that bigger arsenal, give you ability to adapt. And if you have a sore leg or anything like that in the fight, you can adapt, right?
Yeah, exactly. I just did a couple of seminars up in Queensland while I was up there, and that's the same thing. The first half of my thing that I do is I just say, righto, we're going to go southpaw. Oh, if you're southpaw, you're going orthodox. If you're orthodox, you're going southpaw. Just get your brain thinking, because like you said, if you get hit, if your leg gets chopped up, you have to switch. Like you literally have no choice. So just to be comfortable, at least throwing your rear leg from the opposite stance or just doing something. But like you said, a lot with all the new styles coming through, like MMA wise, you can't just be a one-dimensional fighter these days. Like, yeah, it's definitely something I think a lot more people should work on, and they'll be surprised how effective it is.
So who was it you said which fight did you say you watched? Was it Jacob Malkoon's one or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon he got robbed, eh? I reckon he had that one.
Yeah, 100%. I do a lot of sparring with Jacob. I did a lot of sparring with him this camp. You can see from his last one to this one, like his striking, his confidence in his striking has gone up so much. And to have that confidence, his wrestling abilities goes up because he's so confident striking. So he goes confident wrestling, confident in between. Sorry. And then, yeah, I definitely think he got robbed. Fucked my multi up too, but let's not talk about that.
He landed a nice jab a couple of times, and his timing was perfect to get the single, man. He kept getting the single leg over and over. I saw it mentioned that you also spar with Robert Whitaker sometimes because they're from the same gym, right?
Yeah. They're both from Gracie Smeaton Grange up in Camden, up in Sydney there.
How do you find training with these guys, man? How does it feel like to move around with these guys? Because their style isn't traditionally Muay Thai. They've obviously got to mix everything together, and it's a little bit some different things for them to think about. So how does it feel sparring with them from your perspective?
Yeah, it's good. I got invited in right before Rob fought Darren Till. So they brought me in as because obviously I can go southpaw. Darren Till is a big southpaw. I used to do Muay Thai, so that was why they brought me in. And then like it's hard. We go, anyone that says MMA isn't elite level striking, they need to go to a couple of rounds of Rob, because just his different looks, his speed for such a big dude. Like when I'm fit, I'll walk around in late 80s. He's walking around mid 90s. So to be a dude that big, that fast, like his striking's next level. And yeah, so ever since the Darren Till fight, I think I've been a part of almost every camp. Did a lot of sparring for the Izzy fight, and it's good for me because it just gives me different looks. Like I like going down there before I fought in the 8-man last year, because it wasn't just me fighting like that. I knew there wasn't just going to be a one Muay Thai style. I wanted all those different kind of things. So going there, sparring a guy like Jacob, who's, like I said, a wrestler, but the guy's got a gas tank that will go all day, and he's got really good boxing. So it gives me different looks. So then I'm never surprised when like I go in the ring, if like when I go overseas and I'm fight someone different, it's not going to be a style I haven't seen before. So it's nothing but good things sparring with those boys, and yeah, hopefully I work with them a lot more in the future.
Yeah, man, that's a good point, right? Because there are a lot of people that put different skill sets together from different martial arts, right? And if you're basically training with that traditional Thai stylist people all the time, there's a certain rhythm you get used to. You might get a little bit, you might not be able to deal with some of those different angles, different kicks that people throw, different timing, right? So definitely help you, especially you look at the guys in New Zealand fighting now, they're moving a bit away from that real traditional Thai style, right? A little bit more like back to some of maybe the full contact karate movement and that. So you got to be ready for everything.
Yeah, exactly. Like I fought Mark Timms, one of Izzy's teammates. That was a while ago now, but like same thing. As soon as you fight him, it's all those feints, it's all those different looks. It's not as like I said, it's getting away from that traditional Muay Thai. Like we've been criticised before for not being traditional Muay Thai, and the first thing I tell everyone is we're not trying to be. Like we're not trying to win our fights being traditional Muay Thai. We're trying to win our fights I like to fight if I fight, I like to fight the way I'd want to see a fight. So I want it to be exciting. I want cool kicks to be getting out there. I want good hand combos and the hard kicks. So yeah, it just shows all that different things. So like striking's adapting. So we're trying to adapt with it. And I think our team has a good analogy of what's going on, and we bring something new to the table in ourselves.
That's it, man. I noticed online it said Razor Muay Thai. Is that the group that you train with?
Yeah, so Razor Muay Thai is it's a funny story. We actually I left my old gym about 6 years ago, I think, maybe 5 years ago. And I was fighting on a show for a WMC state title. I needed a gym to be registered. So I had one of my mates, and his fight nickname was Razor. So like, I'm just going to use your name, put it in, and then after that fight, I wasn't really going to, because I left my old gym, I wasn't really going to do anything. I was half thinking about giving it up, and I got the offer to fight Toby, and Razor Muay Thai stick. I think I've had about 13 or 14 fights under Razor Muay Thai. Andrew, one of my trainers, he's had 2 boxing fights under Razor, and then Danny Master Chef, my manager and trainer, he does the managing side of all of it. But it's me, him, and Andrew Abbott. That's our team.
So it's not actually a gym as such, because I was searching online. What I was trying to do was to find the logo so I could put it behind me, and I couldn't see anything anywhere. I'm thinking, well, I can't find this anywhere. So that's why it's more just like a registration of you guys together as a small group, right?
Yeah, you should have asked me. I got a logo. I'll send it to you after this. But it's just us. Like, I'm here at home now. So me and Abbott do sometimes Danny comes in here, but me and Andrew do our pads here. And then I do all my strength conditioning here, all the stuff in here. And then Danny's got a ring out at his house about 15 minutes out of town. So when we do our training, we'll go out there. And then, it's not so much a one-stop shop. It's just it's a community of who we are. Like, it's everyone. That's just it. It's not a place. It's the people involved.
Yeah. So you mentioned just then that at one point you were thinking of giving it up. What is it that keeps you in it now, bro? Like, you're working at the same time, so I'm imagining the money isn't good enough to just go off and only do Muay Thai. What keeps you in it, man?
I don't think I want to die wondering. I want to push to see where I'm at. I like the story of a kid I was a shit of a kid, so I like the story of a kid that really everyone thought was going nowhere, and then I want to take on the world stage, and I want to be known as one of the best in the world. Like I said before, I think our style is a newer style, a different style. We add new things and everything. So I want to be remembered. I want to have that legacy, and I think we're doing an all right job so far. So hopefully, if the world stays normal, we can get back out there and leave my mark. At the end of the day, that's all I want to do. I just want to leave my mark, I want to be remembered, and leave a good legacy.
That's good, man. Hey, I heard you say in one of your interviews that you started getting in trouble at school and that, and then you found, was it High Impact Gym or something, and you were training there for a couple of years before your first fight. You also mentioned ADHD, but you just prefer to say you're like a driven sort of kid. It makes sense, man. A lot of people that I interview are people that when they find martial arts, they just go balls and all into it, and they can't stop training. Was that your sort of story as well?
Yeah. So my family comes from a footy family. Like, my old man played juniors in Penrith. My 2 brothers, one of them should have played NRL, but he didn't. He was so good. But that was our family. And then I went away from it, and then kind of had nothing. Like, I lost my drive. I didn't have a sport. I didn't have anything to do. So like I said, I was getting in trouble at school a lot, and then I started training at High Impact. The head instructor there, Anthony Wharton, was actually one of the teachers at the high school, and he obviously saw I was getting in trouble a lot and all that. So he pulled me out of that and threw me into the gym, and it just became an obsession. Like, I'd be running before school, training after school, Saturdays, wouldn't be partying. I feel like I missed out on a bit, like school-wise and kid-wise, but I wouldn't trade it for anything because it just gave me that drive. And like I think a lot of people would call it ADHD. Like, it's like sitting around in a classroom. I couldn't sit around in that school. Like I was getting in trouble a lot because I always wanted to be doing something. Always wanted to, yeah. And then, yeah, it's just, but it's such a good thing. Like it's set my mentality up so good, and I can't thank Anthony and High Impact enough for that, because without that I wouldn't be getting up before work now at stupid hours of the morning. Where like I think we're in the minuses already here. I think we're like -1 or something. So you got to get up and push through that, and it just gave me the mentality to be the best. And yeah, it's an amazing thing that martial arts, not just Muay Thai, but martial arts does. Like even jiu-jitsu or anything. Once you're hooked by it, you do anything to be the best you can at it.
That's it, man. It's definitely therapeutic for some type of people, right? It's a good outlet, yeah, and it can lead to big things like yourself, man, fighting the top in the world, man. Hey,
yeah, even not fighting the best in the world, like even when COVID was happening, I was sparring, like I said, I was sparring with Rob, and then I came back here. I felt a bit unmotivated, so I started doing a bit of jiu-jitsu, just a few classes, and then it's free therapy. It's not free, but it's cheap therapy when you think about it. You're not paying $300 to talk to someone for an hour. Like you go out there and you roll on the mats for an hour, or you go and hit 5 rounds pads, and you just feel so much better. Like it's weird to describe it to someone that hasn't done it, but everyone that has done it understands what we're talking about.
Yeah, man, 100%. I was just talking about this the other day. Like, it's very hard to explain to people, but something's particular about jiu-jitsu, man. It's similar in other arts as well, but something about jiu-jitsu when you roll with people, you're rolling with someone for those 5 minutes or whatever. There's no way you're thinking about anything other than surviving or taking something off that guy. There's no other thoughts, and you get out of there and you've forgotten about everything that was messing up your mind before you go in. It's similar on pads too. Like, you can drop everything and let everything go and that, or sparring, but something about jiu-jitsu, it's a little bit different again, really takes you away from everything. Hey, it's a good outlet.
Yeah. It's just like a form of meditation. Like if you're not folks, if you're doing jiu-jitsu and like you said, you're thinking about something else, you're thinking about the argument you have with your missus, or you're thinking about something that went wrong in work, you're going to get caught up. You're going to get tapped out for doing something. Like if you're not focusing on your breathing, you're not focusing on, oh, why is he putting his leg there? Should I do this to react to this, to this, to this? And like you said, it just zones you out. It's the same thing with like pads or sparring. Like if you're not thinking exactly what's going on right now, you're gonna get clipped. Something's gonna happen. So it forces you to be so in the moment that it takes away from everything else.
That's it, man. Talking about BJJ, one of the questions I had for you, which I think you're a young fella, 25 years old. Your style is sounds like you're pretty adaptive and you're interested in learning more. Have you ever considered moving on into work with the guys at Grange and doing some MMA in the future?
Yeah, I've had yarns from him about it. I've spoken to him about it. It really depends what day of the week you get me on, really. As of late, my mentality and my focus is I just want to be the best striker in the world. Like that's all I want to do. I want to get that rematch with George. I want to get that WBC. If the opportunity comes, I want to grab that 1FC. And I think once I get to that, once I've achieved that, then same thing as like what Izzy does. What Izzy done. I'll still like if I don't have any fights coming up, I'll jump in a jiu-jitsu class or I'll jump in, do that. Just always keep something new coming in. But yeah, once I achieve what I want to achieve and what I want to achieve with my team here first. Like one of the big things for me, when I was talking about maybe going to MMA before, is I want to get that big world title with Andrew and Denny here before I move on to anything else, because for everything they've done for me, I want them to have that recognition. But yeah, it's definitely one day could be on the cards. If it is, I'll definitely go to Sydney with Alex up there at Smeaton Grange and those boys up there. Like the facility they got up there is amazing. The team they got up there is amazing. And yeah, we'll all see what happens in the future, really.
Man, if you get that world title, it also translates to like more, I guess, success in the MMA world too, man. You come across as a previous world champion. It's a big thing, It kind of can elevate your status a little over there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Because like you see everyone in the UFC, they all got like, oh, they're a black belt in this, that, and that. Like Muay Thai doesn't have that. Our kind of badge of honor is like, I'm 24 and had 50 fights. Like that's our badge of honor, is how many fights you've had. So, and they kind of like brush it off. So to have that one token, like that WBC world title, that one FC world title, that major striking world title is what I want. Because then, I feel like you're not taking it for granted is not the right word, but you're taken seriously. And I'd love to achieve that.
Yeah, you look at Alex Pereira, man. He's looking at like getting closer to Israel Adesanya with hardly any fights in MMA and UFC just because of his notoriety as one of the best in the world at stand-up, right?
Yeah, exactly. He comes from. I think he lost his last glory fight actually. So he came like he's beat Izzy twice, and obviously knocked him out last time. And then like even coming into the UFC, like he lost his last glory fight, but now everyone's like, oh, is this going to be the guy to beat Izzy? And it's like, oh, it could be. Like he's a scary looking dude, but like you said, just because he's got that recognition in kickboxing. Like what he's had 2 fights in the UFC now, and he's already fighting Sean Strickland. So like you said, it just shows what it means to them and what it can lead to. So that's what I'm aiming for before I think about swapping over.
And at the end of the day, like people want to see, I mean, people are starting to understand about ground fighting and control and all that, but people still want to see stand up as the primary objective. People getting punched and kicked and elbowed, man. It's just the way it is. Like watching fights today, there was people starting to make noise when things were stalling and there was no action, right? So they want that sort of activity. So you can not only just get over there and do well, you can get over there and be popular as well because people want to see the stand up. Look at Connor, he's a stand up fighter, you know?
Exactly, and that's what I get. Like I'll go to the pub with my mates and watch the UFC, or I'll have them on here. We're watching the UFC. When it's on the ground, they'll be like, "Oh, it's boring. It's boring." It's not boring to me because I understand what they're doing, and it's just a different martial arts. I can see everything that they're doing. But to them, it's like, "Oh, it's boring. It's boring." I'm like, "Well, go watch Muay Thai then. Go watch K1." Like you're saying that the MMA part of the mixed martial arts part of MMA like is boring. Well, go watch ONE FC. They got everything there for you. Like go watch the Muay Thai. Go give the guys recognition. Or like even watching Cambosis last weekend. I had mates there saying it was boring. I was like, well, go watch Muay Thai. You want to see a fight that's not boring. Go watch Muay Thai. But yeah, it does my head in sometimes. But it's I reckon Muay Thai is going to get there one day. People, like you said, people start to make the sound, like the crowd starts to boo or whatever when nothing's happening. And I don't know how, like I'm pushing Muay Thai as hard as I can and want that. But I think as soon as people start to flick over and see what we have to offer, it's going to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, man. Well, you got that the biggest organization I'd say responsible for kind of spreading it these days is ONE FC, right? Like they're doing such a good job of having everything, right? So people go there to watch MMA at times. They don't only see MMA, they see high-level Muay Thai with the small gloves, and now they're kind of mixing it up. They had Demetrius Johnson fighting Rod Tang for a title, fighting both like styles, kind of wacky, but like, you know, it broadens people's mind to seeing the different type of arts, man. So it's not a bad thing for Muay Thai.
That's the thing too, and it got a lot of people talking. Like, I was actually driving to Sydney the couple of days, the week before that fight happened. And I was listening to a podcast and they were talking, I think it was even Joe Rogan was talking about it. And so imagine the attention that Rod Tang's getting now. And then I got to sparring in Sydney and all those guys are talking about it. And they're like, oh, like who's going to win here, blah, 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 blah. I honestly thought Rod Tang was going to knock him out in the first round because it was Muay Thai. But then look how skilled Demetrius was, just evading him in that first round. And then as soon as I got to the second round, I was like, oh, I don't know if Rod Tang's like, he's an amazing stand-up fighter, but like the ground game's just a completely different thing. But yeah, like you said, ONE FC is doing a great job getting that there. That's like the pinnacle. Like I've called out Nicky a couple of times, and just during COVID, I was just trying to keep my name out there. He bit back, so hopefully that can happen one day. Like Cosmo, like there's such good guys in ONE. So yeah, I hope that's a gateway I can go to one day, and like they're doing great things for the sport, and hopefully it just builds from here.
That'd be sick if you fought Nicky Holskin and got one back for Australia, man, after he beat Wayne Parr.
That's there because he beat Elliot before that too. So he beat Elliot Compton and then he beat John Wayne, and then he something came up and I think I was a bit irrelevant at that point. I'd lost to George and I was just was like, oh, fuck it, I'll send a message. I'll wrote the comment, and then he got back to me. I was like, oh, got me G'd up, got me back on training for a couple of weeks. And then obviously it didn't end up happening because the world was shut down. But now it's opening back up and yeah, we can see what happens.
Yeah, man. Hey, something popped into my head when you were talking before. We're talking about Rod Tang and Demetrius Johnson. With you've trained both skills and you see like, the power of Muay Thai in itself. When you come up against someone who has basic takedowns, what do you feel like as a style, right? Like, do you think Muay Thai is a bit susceptible to that as a raw fighting sort of style?
As raw fighting, on a street fight, it's very it's real hit and miss depending on who you're fighting. Obviously, like I'm not going to come out here and say that Muay Thai is going to kick everyone's ass. A Muay Thai guy, some Muay Thai guys are going to beat some Jiu-Jitsu guys, some Jiu-Jitsu guys are going to beat some Muay Thai guys. But people that have trained, like I've done, obviously doing a lot of sparring up there. When Rob or Jacob and we'll be in because we obviously just do stand-up sparring, then we'll get into a little bit of a clinch, and they'll drop on me, like they'll shoot, like just from force of habit. Like I can just feel myself going for a ride. I'm like, oh fuck. And then I've done a few wrestling classes with a few of the boys there. And it's next level. As soon as they've got you, like you're going for a ride. A lot of Muay Thai people I think don't understand that because they haven't felt that. But yeah, like look at Jacob today. Like he's the wrestling and just the pace they put on is phenomenal. And like I can't wait to learn it one day because it's just something new to learn. And like you said, it's in like a raw fight perspective. It's something else to know.
To at least to be aware of, right? Yeah, that's why I asked because I'm a stand-up fighter from way back when we did kickboxing. There wasn't even any Muay Thai in New South Wales, And the same, I was in a gym and mates would just shoot on me sometimes, and it's like I'm just pretty much useless when someone shoots on me. But obviously, in time, you learn a bit about it. You start to understand a bit more. Grappling now, I do grappling as well.
Yeah. But it's like people look back on UFC 1 now and they're like, oh, like Hoist wouldn't do that on me, like blah blah blah. It's like that motherfucker wants to get your leg, he's getting your leg. Like there's not a lot you're doing. There's not a lot you're doing to stop it. But yeah, like it's just completely different. Like I'm not going to try act like my hands are on par with a professional boxer. Like I've sparred a lot of professional boxers, and I think I do have good hands in Muay Thai. Like I think I've got some of the best hands in Australia in Muay Thai. But I'm not going to say I'm as good as a pro boxer. And it's like it's just knowing if you're not doing the whole deal like MMA, you just got to know where you're at. So I'm very aware of my skill levels on the ground compared to someone that knows what they're doing.
Yeah, man. I'd recommend, man, with that little idea in the back of your head that you might go over to MMA someday, I reckon you should just start sharpening the stone, just set in a tiny bit. It's hard to give too much to it because you're training to be top of the world in your own sport, but just piece by piece, adding a little bit at the backside, man, because it's the same sort of thing as Thai boxing. It takes a bit of time to get that skill level up, right? It's not something you can rush. So if you just started building the base now, it'd be sick if you ever did decide to go into it.
100%. Like like I said, I've done a little bit of wrestling there. I've done a little bit of jiu-jitsu here and there. And like, I'm not useless, but like I love a triangle because I've got long gangly legs. Like any time I'm in, it's half guard, right? I mean, anytime I'm in half guard, I try and throw a triangle up there. And like, sometimes I get lucky if the guy's if it's a beginner, but yeah, I like planting that seed. I like seeing new things. Like I was doing a class here, I think Ovinson Prujas fought, and he tapped someone with a Von Flue choke.
Yep.
And yeah, I was trying to get that. Like, it's just, that's the kind of thing I have. Like if I watch something, I'm going to try and do it. So like I saw him get that. So then I went to the jiu-jitsu place here and I was like, oh, I'm going to try to see if this works.
Yeah.
And then yeah, the instructor saw what I was doing. So he came and explained what I had to do here. So I was just, yeah, it's just planting that seed. It's the same thing though. If I watch a stand-up fight, like a 1FC fight, like a Muay Thai or kickboxing, and I see a combo or I see some way someone does this, I'm going to go try that on the bag or on pads or in sparring. So it's just planting that seed. And I do the same thing if I go to a jiu-jitsu class. So there's definitely seeds planted, but yeah, we'll see how we go.
Man, just talking about tricks and stand-up, that Liam Harrison's got some mad little tricks in that he uses. Hey, you watch his training before? What do you think of Liam?
Yeah, I love Liam. I've been watching him for years. Like, it's just some of the stuff he does is just great. Even the way he throws leg kicks. Like when he fought, I can't remember who it was. He fought a little Thai dude and was like throwing 3 leg kicks at a time. Like bang, bang, bang. It's like no one throws 1, 2, 3 like that. And then all these trips and these tricky stuff. And it just shows how much, like at the point I am, it still shows how much more I need to know, because he'll do shit. And I'm like, never even thought about that before. So it shows how big of a world it is to learn, how much knowledge there is to learn. And then, yeah, it's not just Liam. Like, you go watch anyone, and it's just, there's so much to learn. Just when you think you've got something figured out, something else gets brought out, and then it's crazy world.
That's it, man. Hey, you're training at the moment. You're doing your electrician. Have you finished your apprenticeship already? You finished, right?
Carpentry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Carpentry.
Yeah.
Right? Now you're full time. So you're running every morning before work. How do you fit the rest of it into your day, man?
So not every day. I started off after COVID, because before COVID I was fighting good, but I was a little bit off with my training and partying and all that. So then I came back after COVID. I was running every morning before work, and I was just getting worn down. So the last camp, I had to rethink of like why this was hurting. So Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, I'm on before works. And then I'm a big believer in, I don't know what the right word is for.
Rest and recovery.
No, fuck recovery.
I thought you were going to say that because you're having a break. Where you going?
What's it?
It's strength
like,
and conditioning. Oh.
I can't think. I was talking with Benny Johnson about it, but I can't think of what was the name of it. Sport specific kind of stuff. Like,
yeah.
I do a lot of strength conditioning and a lot of running. I bought an assault bike, and that's stupid hard. Like, I love that assault bike, but I'm a big believer like the sport specific things. So I'm doing between 10 and 12 rounds a day with either Denny or Andrew, and then then I'm on the bag. Then I'm like, if I don't do my pad rounds or my like Muay Thai specific stuff, I may as well not even train that day, because that's the big thing. You can run as fast as you want. Like, everyone puts these things up about, oh, they're running times and this and this and this. But yeah, but how are you going on the pads? How you doing and all that? Because we're doing 12 rounds of pads. They're not easy pads, but if I'm doing 12 rounds, 5 rounds is going to be a breeze. So that's my way of looking at it. I'll get my runs in. Like, I'm a good runner. During COVID, I thought I was bored, so I ran a marathon, and I set myself a pretty good pace. I was happy with that. But like, I love my assault bike, love the strength conditioning. Like, I like just being fit in general, but yeah, I have to get those, I think it's near 60 rounds of pads a week we do. So I have to get that in, because it just, your body's just physically fit for what it needs. Like, you can be fit to play footy, but you're not fit to fight. You can be fit to fight, but you're not fit to play footy. So it's just very sports specific. And yeah, it sucks to work in around work, but my boss is he's a really good dude. He used to do Kyokushin back in the day, and he loves Muay Thai, so he comes out to Denny's and spars with a bit. He's trained a bit here at my house. Like, he gives me time off for my fights. He'll watch all my fights. So it's really, I couldn't ask for a better boss to be with there, because like, we only work 7 or 3:30. So once that 3:30 comes, even he wants to go home, and he's got kids. He loves his kids, so he wants to go home and see his kids. He knows I've got to go home and train. So it's awesome with that. And yeah, I can't thank him enough for how understanding he is because he knows my dream and knows what I want to achieve. So he makes it a lot easier to work around.
Awesome. Yeah, what you mentioned before, it is a skill you're learning, man. So those skill and sport-specific movements and that are what you need to be doing, right? You can't upskill Muay Thai on a treadmill or a weights machine, right? You got to keep upskilling and improving and that. And there's different schools of thought. There's people that really believe in stuff like full-on strength and conditioning and all that. There's some midway, and then there's some that advocate not doing it at all. You know, like, they prefer to be concentrating on that skill set and the body movements and that, because that's what you really need to be progressing in. So yeah, it's interesting stuff to talk about.
Yeah, because like I said, I love my strength conditioning. I love all the other stuff. So I like just being a fit person. But if you don't get those rounds in, your body's not going to be able to cope with it. It's like jiu-jitsu. If you don't if you don't practice your leg being around something like in a half guard, your legs just go to jelly as soon as you're trying to hold someone in there. It's like if you're trying to get someone in the guillotine, you realize how quick your arms blow out. So if you're not doing that sport specific stuff, like if you're not hitting, like you're not doing your 10 kicks in a row, you're not doing a round. We do a round each leg, just power kicks, power kicks, power kicks. If you're not doing that, you're going to realize how easy your legs actually burn out in a fight. And that's the worst place you want to be halfway through a fight, and you can't be fucked to throw a kick or anything. So, yeah, like you said, there are a lot of different trains of thought. Like I see a lot of people, they're like, oh no, like traditional Muay Thai this, traditional Muay Thai, like run your 20Ks a day and this and that. But I'm like, man, the world's evolving. That's evolved with it. The striking's evolving, everything's evolving. So, yeah, like each camp I try and change my training up a bit, but that's the big things we try and stick to.
I saw one of your runs online. You know, it's not really a slow run, eh? You run at a decent pace, 4 minutes 12 per kilometre isn't a slow pace, man, to be running a decent length. So it's verging on thinking, right?
That's because running sucks. You don't want to be out there running. Like I said, like previous, I was here, like what's today, Sunday? I'll wake up tomorrow morning and go run. I think it's going to be like -1 or something. So you don't want to be out. You don't want to be out running that for too long. So you get out, you run as quick as you can, you get inside and do the inside stuff. But yeah, but there's no point to me. Like you go over to Thailand or a Thai specific gym or authentic, whatever, they're running slow Ks. Like it's real, just there for the habit of it. But it's like, no, Muay Thai, you're not going slow in any aspect. It's a sprint. And Liam Harrison has said the same thing, I think, on Joe Rogan. Like it's not a marathon. Muay Thai is not a marathon, it's a sprint. Like you got 3 minutes to go, then you get a 2-minute break. You got your recovery there. So when I'm running, like everything, it's a long distance, but it's a fast, like trying to keep that fast distance up. And yeah, like running's huge though. Like you see I'm a big believer in running. Like you run all day, but I'd like to do it fast. Like fast is the way to go for me for that.
Yeah, agree, man. Hey, on that, you're obviously pumping out a few rounds, running, etc. How do you work on diet, man? Have you got someone that helps you with that, or you do it yourself? Or
yeah, so Fight Nutrition Australia helps me with the diet. Kate's, I'm a bit shit with that. I haven't logged in a while. I find it hard with diets and shit, but Kate's very good. She's very understanding. So I'm working with that. She's gave me a lot of ideas on food and snacks and that, because I used to be bad for it. I used to just skip breakfast sometimes. Because you start and work at 7, you don't want to eat breakfast. But she's opened my eyes to like, no, you're going to be eating a lot. So, have your breakfast, have a snack before smoko, have your snack before your afternoon, train, have your dinner, like have all those meals, because your body's just like, I'm eating that much, but I'm losing weight for fights. So yeah, diet's a big thing. I never used to take it too seriously, but yeah, once you do figure out why you need to take it seriously and what's actually what it's actually doing to your body, yeah, you start to use it a lot more.
Yeah. Cool, man. What about rest and recovery, man? Do you use any of the sort of new things, people using sauna, ice bath, different things like that?
When I can be bothered, really. I love massages. Like Denny's wife, Geesh, she does my massages, leg compressions, because like always running, always kicking pads. I've got leg compression boots, pump those out. When I get an ice bath, I do like an ice bath, but it's a lot of. I try to just stretch a lot. I'm not, like I said, I'm a bit lazy in recovery. I'm learning. I want to get better. I'm going to get better at recovery, hopefully. So yeah, I used to do a lot of ice baths. I think I scared myself off it a bit. And sauna, I do it a little bit, but same thing. Like when I was a lot younger and I was cutting a lot of weight when I shouldn't have been, it kind of gave me a phobia of saunas. So like I'll be in them, I can sit in them and I can push myself through them, but I just hate them.
Yeah,
because I was just doing them when I shouldn't have been doing them. I was too young to be doing them. I was cutting weight in them like at 14, 15 years old. So I'm not the biggest fan of saunas, but I do want to look more into it and see what's the best forms of recovery. So it is something I plan on and something I'm going to strive to get better at.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on the recovery side of it, but it's definitely it's got some health benefits according to your mate who you mentioned, Joe Rogan. He's got some he's got a couple of interviews with a lady called Rhonda Patrick about benefits of sauna. It's pretty interesting. I do sauna regularly, based 100% on that, so I hope she's right. It's supposed to be about longevity and that, like, it reduces these heat shock proteins, somehow make you live longer and reduce your all-case mortality and all this. So sounds like worth a crack anyway, you know?
Yeah, I've heard the same things. And like on Instagram and that, you see like Toby Smith uses it a lot, Mini T uses it a lot. And then like everyone's buying these big box freezers and using them as ice baths and shit. And I just haven't done enough research. It's my own fault. But yeah, like if everyone says it's good and everyone's feeling good, it's obviously something I need to jump into. Like I tried listening to Wim Hof, but I just can't get around it.
Yeah.
It's something that obviously should probably try to, but yeah, like it obviously does have health, because I think I listened to that same interview and it's something about if you do it 4 times a week, it decreases your
exactly.
your
That
heart.
was the minimum. Yeah, the minimum was 4 times a week, 20 minutes at 70+ degrees. You know, that's a pretty big ask 4 times a week, right? I'm pushing out 2, but you know, it's a bit of yeah.
And this is coming from a dude that probably has a sauna in his backyard too, so it's like he's right there. So, but no, like there's one at the local gym that I teach at. So, like when I can be bothered getting in there, I go get in there. And yeah, but now I'm hearing myself talk about it. I really got to focus on recovery a lot more.
That's it. Man, we're kind of finishing up, but I got 10 quick questions for you. Don't need to go into too much detail. I'm asking different fighters I talk to these 10 questions. I'm going to like combine them together at the end. So a lot of people answering the same questions. First one, you know, professional fighter and all, you got a good understanding of your body, how to get to training and all that. What's your tips for training and motivating people? Like, what's a tip for people, how to get into the gym, how to train?
Here's one I heard lately and it really hit home. It's a little bit of a long one, so just bear with me. But if you died and you get up to heaven and God hands you 2 pieces of paper and says, this is who you are and this is who you should have been, which one are you going to be happy with? So just do that. If you think you're going to be happy with you missing the gym and not being everything you should have been, then that's fine. But if you know you're going to be sitting there, because if you don't train, you're sitting there thinking of it all day. So just think what you're going to be happy with. At the end of the day, you're going to be sitting there on your deathbed. No one else is.
True, man. Next one, tips for true health. You know, health's not just about getting to the gym, about, you know, diet and people you're around and all that, or mental health, all that. What do you think is a tip for true health?
Balance. I'm going to say balance. You got your training. Like when I'm training, I'm training. When I'm at work, I'm at work. When I'm with my girlfriend, when I'm with my family, I'm there. You need your balance. When I'm partying with the boys, I'm partying with the boys. So that's it's all about balance and just being there in the moment.
Cool. Best street fight story?
I had just after I fought once at school. I fought in the ring on the weekend. Then at school, this guy tried to fight me and he kept trying to hit me and I kept moving out of the way. And at the end of it, he's got the shits and walked through school and like, we didn't know at the time, but then we walked to class and we walked through and there was like 4 broken windows that he's walked through and smashed all of them. And then I got in trouble and I was just like, I didn't touch him. And then the principal asked everyone else, they're like, nah, Charlie didn't touch him. And I was like, oh, right. It's probably the best one. I don't get many street fights. It's a small town. So yeah.
Man, that's good. What would you say is the best street fight technique if someone was in a fight?
Headbutt or biting? It's a street fight, man. I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. So I'm either headbutting you or biting you, or I'm poking your eyes, I'm grabbing your nuts, I'm doing something. It's a street fight. So
that's it, man. Hey, I've asked these questions to lots of MMA guys, so a couple of them a bit more skewed towards them. But what's the best martial art for someone to learn if they can only learn one?
I'd say it was going to be 3: Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, or wrestling. I say Muay Thai because I think it's just a little bit better on your body. Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu. Wrestling is so good for strength, but your back, your neck, everything just gets fucked. So either jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai, the top two.
Cool. The true value of learning martial arts?
Like we touched on before, it teaches you a lot about life, teaches you self-confidence. It makes you feel like Superman, and yeah, it shows you can achieve a lot more than what you think.
Cool. A couple of stupid questions to finish. Someone gives you an elephant, you can't sell it or give it away. What would you do with it?
Eat it. Coming into look at it, we're coming into a global food shortage, so that'll serve me a couple of months, I think.
Sure, you got a freezer that'll last you a year, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
Compare yourself to an animal. What would it be and why?
To an animal. Probably everyone would say a giraffe because I'm tall and gangly, but I would hope like a lion, just because my mentality, but it sounds a bit dorkish.
That's all right, bro. Next one, describe the purpose of Muay Thai to someone from another planet.
Two people doing the purpose of Muay Thai. Being a gladiator is now frowned upon. Killing people in front of a crowd is now frowned upon, so we go closest to what we can.
Cool. Last one. Would you rather fight 100 duck-sized Francis Ngannous or 1 10-foot tall size Francis Ngannou?
No, probably duck sizes. They'll probably be big fucking ducks anyway.
You're booting them everywhere, right?
Oh, exactly.
That's it, man. And just the last question before we wrap up. What are your immediate plans for 2022 and then the future?
So I got a fight coming up as of yesterday, 5 weeks away, which is all going to be announced soon. I got another one. I got another one. That's me going international. Again, I can't say too much about that.
Yep.
Pretty much for the rest of the year, man. I've got fights booked every 6 to 8 weeks. So this is what I wanted, man. Back in 2019, I had 6 or 7 fights in that year. Like I love being active. I love just always working for that next thing. So that's our plan. Got an international in 5 weeks. Got another international 5 weeks after that. And yeah, take on the world and be number one.
Awesome, bro. Sounds like a plan. Well, man, thanks so much for your time. It's been good to have a chat. I'll be paying attention to you for the rest of the year, and maybe we'll catch up later, have a chat about some of these fights that you got in planning. But yeah, best of luck into that title that you're chasing, man, and I'll be a supporter, bro.
No, 100%, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate the time. Yeah, I'll talk to you later on in the year.
Cool. Thanks, bro.